Alright. As I have been saying throughout my argument, unstable countries cannot provide for their people in many different categories that my opponent feels they can. But the truth of the matter is, these countries with unstable government or no government cannot provide it all for their countries without requesting help from an outside source. How is the government able to provide when all their resources from their country are against them, or there is no government to provide for them in the first place? There's simply no feasible way they could. These no-government places my opponent is trying to convince you all works simply could not survive without help from other sources. Moving back to the American Revolution, which I feel may not have had to happen. The reason for the American Revolution was because of unhappy Americans in the colonies because of taxes. But these taxes were in place because the British were in an ongoing war and the price that it cost to move everything there was very high. It would not have taken long for the British to regain their feet, but we protested, and as a result, 50,000 people died, not worth the deaths just because of the amount of money we had to pay the British. As said by Mahatma Gandhi, anger and intolerance are the enemies of correct understanding. Perfect for almost all the situations of revolution in this world, anger and intolerance. After violent revolution, there's two things that could come from it. First, being many people dead in a weak government, or second, many people dead again and no government at all. As I've said many times now, my opponent is incorrect in thinking that no government would be better. Oppressive governments are tough on some people, bearable for some, and a good fit for some. No government is the same for all people. Chaos. No local police, firemen, hospitals, grocery stores, and other such things. When no government comes, this sense of liberty people will feel will take people way too far. They will start stealing stuff, there will be murders, and soon it will be like the Wild West. Everyone fighting for their lives just by walking onto the street. Now, my opponent said oppressive government leads to revolution and death in his second contention. But is oppressive government the thing that leads to revolution and death, or is it the people that are getting angry and intolerant what with is already in place that causes this? People in these other countries could not fight with their countries. They could use their words and fight for their rights by that. And then you also said societal welfare as your contention. But is societal welfare your best thing? Because societal welfare is not proving anything in no government. You aren't living a good life with no government. You're trapped inside your home, afraid of someone coming to kill you. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay. Now, my opponent attempted to make some points to pad the idea of oppressive government being more advantageous than no government whatsoever. And I'm going to respond to those ideas for you now. All right. With slavery in the United States, it was oppression, and a lot of people died, and a lot of people were beaten and mistreated. But that's not the only effect that this oppression that the government had a part in it. You can say that the government didn't directly do it, but the government has the power to stop it. And when you have that much power and you don't do something, I don't care. You should do it. And if you don't stop it, then I consider you just as guilty. They had the power to stop it, and they did not. And as a result of slavery, what's going on today? Well, in today's world, racism is alive and well. And that's not an argument. It is. I feel the effects every day as a black boy in America. And hatred is alive and well. An example of that, Trayvon Martin. What happened to him? He did absolutely nothing. And I'm pretty sure he was shot and killed. Why? Because he was walking down the street and looked suspicious. Now, I would say the effects of this oppressive government are monumental, and the effects that effects there would have been if there was no government at all, we don't know because that hasn't occurred. But there is a chance, there is a possibility that if there was no government, no order, as my opponent says, that this hatred and this angst of racism that survives today, it might not be as strong and as a hurdle to get over. Also, he suggested that in no government, you're essentially in chaos. There are people running amok, people are dying, you're trapped. He said something to the fact that you're trapped in a room waiting on someone to kill you, and he said that societal welfare, something like that, cannot exist. But an oppressive government, when can societal welfare exist at all? This is societal welfare, as I said before, societal welfare, as I said before, is essentially the happiness of the people, and right now I can't, oh, here it is. Well-being in any respect, the enjoyment of health and common blessings of life, the exemption of evil or calamity. But oppression, as I said before, oppression is a version of evil. At least I would consider that. Maybe my opponent would not. But oppression is treating your people, or at least governmental oppression, is treating your people with disrespect and cruelty. And I would call that evil. So how can societal welfare exist in a place with oppression? If one is promoting evil and one is promoting the good of the people, how do those things coexist? They cannot. Despite what my opponent says, despite how many big words he uses, despite how many arguments he uses, these things can't coexist. And to my standards, if there is no societal welfare, then the people are not happy, and as a result, there's revolution. As a result of that, there is death. And as a result of that, there's displacement with people. Some are separated from their families, some are separated from their friends. Some people, even today, as a result of the Holocaust, are just meeting up with family members. And I think that if the oppression in the Holocaust did not exist, these people would still be together, would still be counteracting, and would still be happy. You can argue that they're happy today, and they're much stronger people, but I would say that do you really need oppression to become stronger? That's all I have to say.